As introduced, my name is Russell Gainford. I am our Vice President of Cloud Strategy and Operations at Tyler Technologies. So I'm responsible for the direction of our product suites as we take them forward to the public cloud, as well as our operational maturity as we roll things out for our customers and support them in the AWS environment set. I've been in the GovTech industry and market for over 20 years, primarily in software, product, engineering, and operations. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about our journey as Tyler. We've been going through kind of a public cloud acceleration process and transformation. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to share some examples of what we worked on and what we built with the public cloud. And I'm going to actually go into some lessons learned. So if you're thinking about moving stuff to the public cloud or you're thinking about a transformation in your organization, I'll share a few tips along the way that we've kind of figured out ourselves. So let's touch on first who we are at Tyler. So we are the largest software organization exclusively focused on public sector. So we have many trusted clients, both in the local, the state, federal agencies, and county agencies. So we've been doing this for over 2 decades. We've appeared on the GovTech 100 list over 5 times. We've appeared on Forbes' Most Innovative Growth Companies 3 times. As with any company and any organization, yours should as well, we have our own culture, our own mission, our own vision, and our own values. And what you're seeing here is our mission statement, where what we look to do is we look to empower the public sector to create smarter, safer, and stronger communities for our families and ourselves and our loved ones. So, as we've grown our business and our portfolio, we've rapidly expanded the areas of the public sector that we serve. So we pretty much serve almost all the major operational areas inside the public sector market space, whether that's justice, courts, public safety, public administration, transformative technology. All of this is served through our operational aspects and our product portfolio. Our presence is now over 27,000 installations across 11,000 client locations. Now, when you look at that presence and you look at the fact that we've been doing this for over 2 decades now, what that leads to is that we've already dealt with a lot of changing technology with our customers, and we take pride in looking ahead of the market on where things are going so we can partner with our customers to take them to new technology. For example, 45% of our customers have had a Tyler product for over 10 years. So we are no stranger to taking customers to new technology and new platforms, and we look ahead so that we can get them there when they need it and when they're ready. So back in 2017, we could already see that the market was beginning to shift in public sector towards the public cloud. We heard from prospects and customers they were already looking for, they wanted systems that were scalable, reliable, with the capabilities to host and manage the products that they need. So we saw this coming, and we ended up doing a look as an organization of our size at the landscape, at the market for the public cloud. And we decided to sign a strategic collaboration agreement with AWS in late 2019. We saw this as the best of both worlds. We had a collaboration agreement that allowed us at Tyler to focus on building the best products for the public sector, delivering the best functionality using the latest technologies, delivering quicker and faster. And then we saw AWS providing our customers the latest robust infrastructure, technology, redundancy, and partnering with us on support to provide our customers what they need instantly. Our customers and our employees got a win-win out of that. Now, it's been a few years, and we've had a lot of success. I'm going to go over a couple client examples, a couple products, things that we think really benefit the public sector market. I'm going to talk about those for a few minutes. But before I do that, I'm going to touch on if you're going through a cloud transformation journey at the highest level, you've decided we're moving all this technology, we're moving to this type of new tech, we're moving our organization in this direction. I'll give you 3 pieces of advice, and this is from a massive organization going through a large change. The first is, as you go through it, don't just set your strategy. Don't just say we're going to the public cloud. You need to back it up with coherent actions and guiding principles. And what I mean by that is, unless your organization is very small, it's most likely going to take a little while for you to get to the public cloud. Maybe years, depending on what you have, what contracts you have, what kind of products you have. So if you're going down that route, you need to set a guiding policy. So a guiding policy for us at Tyler may be, okay, we're moving to the cloud. When we build new products to benefit our customers, they are going to be built on the AWS public cloud. That is one of our guiding policies. For you, it may be, okay, when we come up for renewal and we're going to buy a new service or a new product, we're going to procure it in the public cloud. It becomes a policy that gradually takes you to your direction. And then you can define it with other actions behind it. But don't just set it as a strategy and expect people to know and get there without the backup actions. The second thing I'll bring up is communication and transparency. So moving to the public cloud for many organizations is a massive change, both from IT, internal systems, interfaces, the way that you support your constituents or your customers. All of that is massive, and realistically, you may have organizational changes behind it. People may end up in new org structures. That is not uncommon, and it's not wrong. But people fear change, especially if you don't communicate why you're doing something and how you're going to do it. So communication, communication, communication is key. And then the third advice I'd give on your transformation is train your people. Take care of your people. There is so much technology coming out nowadays. They actually say the amount and the evolution of technology surpassed the human species' ability to adopt it in 2017. There's so much coming out. How do you expect to just make a statement and say this is what we're going to do unless you train the people to do it? Everybody needs that. So go get the accreditations. Go take the business courses, help your team, put it in your plans, so when you get to that public cloud, they're already communicating to your stakeholders, you're getting there in a better fashion. So 3 major pieces of advice I'd give from a transformation perspective that we've picked up and refined over time. All right, so before we even signed the collaboration agreement, our technology leaders in our organization could already see the benefits of the public cloud. They could see that we could deliver products faster, quicker, better quality, only pay for what we consume, use new tech, all of that. We could see the benefits. Now in public sector, I could say the same thing as far as your private data centers, or you're building net new products. What do you want to do and what are the benefits? But I'm not going to go into the operational costs and things like that. I'm going to talk about 3 things that I really believe the public cloud will dramatically help in the public sector, where I think it will provide the most value. So the first is moving to a data-driven organization. Edward Deming said that if you don't have data, you are just a person with an opinion, which is really true. And data is exploding, and you need the ability to change your organization into data-driven. Accessible systems and services anywhere. Constituents, individuals, and employees need to be able to access and work things securely but remotely. You can't continue to have constituents going down to buildings and counter to counter to counter. Those times have changed, and man, what an acceleration this took last year with the pandemic, right? Everything was switched almost overnight. People want accessible digital services, and they want them anywhere. And then last, sharing and collaborating across jurisdictions. Unlike the private sector, the public sector gains immense benefit when they share data and provide information across jurisdictions. And the public cloud is perfect for that. You can create data standards and data exchanges. Constituents can get better information, better decisions and services can be made. A huge potential in the past for public sector, which has been struggled with private data centers and communicating with each other. So let's first talk about data-driven organization. Here's some statistics from some recent surveys. 34% of public sector departments state that their organizations have little to no data to make decisions. 41% of public sector employees defer to intuition or gut feel over data-driven decisions in their daily activities. Why? Why is this? Well, if you go back the last 15 years, people realized they wanted to get this data, but they were probably in private data centers. They're trying to take disparate systems. They're trying to build data warehouses. And often, because they're individual organizations doing and rebuilding in the same pattern, the projects kind of fell flat and never provided the value that was usually expected out of it. And I think the public cloud changes a lot of that. It allows us to aggregate at scale, allows us to provide more insights, AL, ML, all the information that can provide more data to an organization. And we're already seeing that. So let me provide you a couple examples of what we're seeing. So soon after our collaboration agreement, we actually, this is not a customer example, this is internal to our product portfolio. We built this out based on, we saw that number one need of becoming data-driven. And so soon after our collaboration agreement, we built out and released our Executive Insights product. This is a cloud AWS-based product set that aggregates information from on-premise and other sources and provides immediate government metrics and KPIs to an organization. So we focus first on finance, budgeting, and payroll for this. Information that was taken through Excel sheets or handwritten notes. All of a sudden, we could show you forecasting and trends and alerts with budgets. We can show you who's going to be over budget. We can go look at a payroll system and say, where's all your overtime coming from? How much attrition, how much hiring do you have? Key indicators for your government jurisdiction, instantly available in the cloud with near up-to-the-minute data. We got such good feedback on this product, just taking data that already exists and putting it at scale in the cloud, we ended up extending it and building it later last year. We built out a tax and appraisal insights product, courts insights for court systems, civic services and permits and licenses and fees for local jurisdiction. And just recently, we just released a public safety one with critical insights for police departments and fire departments, all based on the idea of helping these organizations become data-driven. Let's take another example. Let's take a customer example of becoming data-driven and the value it provides. One of our Tyler Excellence Award winners in the state of Connecticut. The state of Connecticut knew that they wanted to gather data together, and they knew that the way that data was being gathered today was disparate and not providing enough value. And they initiated a project which became the Open Data Portal to tie together key departments across the state for health, state, education. All of that information aggregated together, they were able to put it into what was termed an Open Data Portal that was open to agencies to extract data as well as citizens and constituents. Well, during the COVID-19 pandemic last year, this thing exploded. They got more data requests in the first 6 months of last year than they got in the last 6 years. It exploded, and the information was available for decision makers. Now, here's where this really shined and where they did some amazing work. On your right here, you can see the school learning indicators model. This is a model that they drafted based on information from the Harvard Global Institute on standards for guidance for the pandemic. And school districts, so school districts inside the state, each had to make their own decision on when to go back to school, in-person, virtual, hybrid, and they used this information and were able to make great decisions based on their jurisdiction, their location, and the number of infections that were occurring. So truly an amazing story of putting data together and giving key stakeholders the information they need for data-driven decisions. All right. So let's talk about citizens expecting access, because they do, right? I've in this industry for a long time. Remember when everyone wanted to report a pothole was the first thing, right? And then make a payment, and it just keeps getting more and more. And citizens today expect the ability to go in to a jurisdiction virtually on a phone or an app. They expect this to expand, and there's still more that they can't do today. So let's touch on that. Let's also touch on the fact they expect it to be up all the time, right? It's just, take the generation, we expect Google to be up all the time, we expect a service to be available all the time. First example, virtual courts. So we actually started building this virtual courts product before the pandemic. And we did it based on, we were partnering with some of our customers in court systems, and we were hearing some feedback on a lack of justice access in certain circumstances. So what I mean by that is, if you need to go and appear in court, most studies have shown that individuals want to go to court when they need to. They want to defend themselves, they want to speak up. But in certain circumstances, they're not able to. You may have a child at home. You may have an elderly loved one. You may be asked to go to a court that's not even near your jurisdiction. You can't travel there. These are real problems, and they cause people not to have an access to defend or give that level of justice. So we worked with these partners, these court systems, and we built a virtual courts product that is integrated out of the box with their case management product and provides them this virtual video interaction, tracking everything with the court clerk and the judge and giving them the capability to go through everything and have a conversation and make a decision. So everybody now has that access. So we built this cloud native, all the AWS native services. We rolled it out very quickly, high level of quality. It's been very good for us. But I could just say it's been very good for us, but let's look at an ROI. I'm a fan of actual metrics out of it. So if you look at the city of Alvin, Texas, they're a growing jurisdiction. They're taking in and processing about 5,000 cases a year. And during the pandemic, they reached out to us to see what was happening with technology, what we could partner with, because they also, in Texas where they are, have had some weather events, right? They've had hurricanes and floods, and they've had to shut down before. So what could we do together that would help with this? We turned on this product once they asked us to do so in under 24 hours from AWS, hooked into the case system under 24 hours. Because of the shutdowns from the pandemic, they had over 800 cases in the backlog because people couldn't go there in person. They quickly dropped the cases down to their standard normal levels. In addition to that, they digitized everything, saved thousands of dollars, and perhaps the most important stat, going back to the reason we built this product, their failure to appear, where people did not come to their hearings, dropped by 60% when people could do it virtually. So an amazing result, an amazing opportunity where we could provide additional services to people that are in need and need that opportunity. All right. The last thing I want to touch on here is another lessons learned as you go through your transformation and just things to think about. If you're migrating stuff to the public cloud, please take another look at high availability, disaster recovery, and redundancy. For many years, we've been servicing the public sector, and as we've gone through and customers have had their on-premise systems and things like that, we would spec out things for high availability, or there would be DR that they would look to another data center. But what would happen is, let's be honest, they're very expensive. And these things would end up in budgets, and when budgets went through, that piece would get cut. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. The AWS Public Cloud provides an incredible low-cost ability for disaster recovery, splitting between multiple data center regions, providing the level of service. So when you put a digital service out there, it should be running all the time. And you can do that at a low cost with a high nines availability rate. So as you go through the migration, it should be ingrained in your culture that everything you move, you sit down, you think about tabletop. What if this goes wrong? What if there's an issue on the infrastructure? What is my failover plan? How is this load balanced? Right? That should be the way that you're doing that movement. And it will pay off in the end. It is a little more work up front, but I promise it will pay off in the end. All right. So now let's talk a little bit about collaborating across jurisdictions. So as I mentioned earlier, public sector can generate a ton of benefit just from collaborating on data with each other. Every time I see this, I want to say, sharing is caring. I don't know why, but crowd. But so collaborating across jurisdiction provides a lot of benefit. It can help with workflows. So let's take a couple look at examples of that. Let's talk about a customer we partnered with in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So when you're dealing with something like a social epidemic, something like opioid abuse that they were looking to deal with, you need data holistically that you can look at across to make plans. You need to be data-driven, but you can't do that if every group is not talking to each other, right? Makes a lot of sense. So they realized, basically at the state of Virginia, that they did not have a data sharing culture. There was some data sharing agreements in Virginia, but they were all one-off. Individual departments talking to each other, signing different formatted agreements with different data standards, and it wasn't providing all the benefit they wanted. So they said, you know what, we want to share across jurisdictions. And they went out and they bought a cloud-based data platform, and they went to the jurisdictions and created the standards, and they quickly brought all the critical data from the key departments that they needed into the cloud. They said that by putting something in the cloud and pushing the data, whatever format it was, and translating and getting it in there so quickly, they were able to completely shift the culture of data sharing in the state departments in under 12 months. And they were able to bring together all the data necessary for FACT, which is the framework for addiction analysis and community transformation. An amazing result of them sharing together. I mean, some key benefits that they got out of this. They were able to see demographic differences in opioid addiction and abuse. Where it was happening, cities, ages, all the demographic information they weren't before. They were able to look at and create risk profiles so they could look at community help and other areas by pulling all the data from all these different agencies. And the one that I think is just amazing, they're able to take the predictions and the statistics of the spikes that were happening and use that for emergency services when you look at opioid overdoses, right? So now you can talk to the local hospital about what you're seeing in spikes so they can manage their staffing. You can change the location of your EMS vehicles. So collaborating on this data is truly saving lives, which is amazing. So great example, great job by the state of Virginia. All right, and the last one is the National Health Collaboration for the Underserved and their Data Fusion Center. So it's a great example of data sharing. The organization is on a mission to provide equitable access to health technologies and make sure that the technologies they're providing are provided to underserved communities and communities of color. And they partnered with us at Tyler on their Data Fusion Center, managed completely in AWS. They wanted to use the cloud data and the insights to look at social determinants of health and how they're impacting people across federal jurisdictions. So example social determinants of health are like safe housing, transportation, education, access to nutritious foods, pollution, and more. So they went down this route and they determined that with social determinants of health, they could get those actionable insights. They would pull together, de-identify, and aggregate and make publicly available all the data and tools for all the organizations and public constituents that wish to use it. Once deployed, the data was aggregated from multiple federal and state level agencies, including Health and Human Services, the Department of Agriculture, Federal Communications Commission, Medicare Services, Homeland Security, and more. This is the first time this level of data was aggregated in a digital format that could be self-served. And due to the success of this project and the center, industries, academia, and communities can now discover, explore, visualize social determinants of health and health equity-related factors and their impacts. I mean, this is how we get data and information out by sharing that now the academia can use, that we can learn more about, that can help with future medical care. So just a great job on this Data Fusion Center. All right, so today I went over some examples of we gone on our cloud transformation journey at Tyler Technologies. As we've moved and partnered with AWS, we've been very happy with the relationship. We've built new great products and services. And I've gone over some examples of what our customers have done as they've thought about the public cloud, how they could help other organizations and school districts be data-driven. And so my advice is as you go through this, think through it, take care of your teams and communicate. And as you move your stuff forward, look at the new technology to adopt. You'll provide you more reliable services and help out your constituents in the future. I thank you for the time. You can see here my Twitter handle at Rusty Gameford. Happy to talk afterwards, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your conference. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much for that fantastic presentation, Russell. We will resume with a new session on advancing student success at 8:40. And please fill out the survey about this session. Thank you.